I think even Ducky himself is very vocal about this. They wanted to lose. Actually, they wanted to
Mm.
eventually lose against a team.
That I've seen videos that Kiboy's hand is shaking and everything like that. Like he's moving his head like very frantically, that kind of motion.
Indonesian pride, Malaysian pride, North America pride, Philippines pride, when the reality is like the org just wants to win. That's like the org. It's more of like Team Hawk pride, RSG pride. That's where the management is coming from. I think last year we saw the rise of just MLBB globally.
Oh yeah.
We saw the downfall of NA.
No, don't put it that way.
My bad. We're just on equal terms with Malaysia now.
You know what? We accidentally get over here.
Let me continue my point. No.
Hello everyone, welcome to Mobile Legends Bang Bang Analysts Desk, where a lot of things happened this week. AP Bren lost their lose streak, and it looks like Onyx ID has found their way into victories again. MPL Malaysia going into week number 3, a lot has been going on. Even Triple Esports, the face of MENA on M5, is not joining MPL MENA Season 5. Why? Welcome to the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Analysts Desk with me, Laphel, as well as
I'm here.
My good friend, my good friend, Mirko.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Laphel, my good friend, my roommate, my boy.
Let's not push it too far.
Okay,
natural. Let's be natural.
Hey, man, I was trying to, go with the flow of you going crazy at the start, even saying AP Brenner on a lose streak, but you know what? It's fine.
Not
it's
lose
fine.
streak. They broke their win streak. I misspoke.
Exactly. So I was trying to, I was trying to hit him off as well. I'm testing you.
All right.
We're testing each other. But we're also going to test 2 more people here. It's not just me and you, Laphel. We got Mr. I don't know how you say it, but he's from North America. I think he is a bird of some sorts, an animal, a species.
A chicken?
Mr. Trex is here with us from NA all the way. Right now, it's currently in the morning for him as of the time of recording. So everybody welcome Mr. Trex.
Well, if I wasn't awake, I'm awake now. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Love you guys. It's Trex, by the way. It's cool.
A bit of a one-sided love, but who cares, right?
Who cares? But it's okay. It's okay. Because if you only get the one-sided love from Trex, there's always the other one-sided love from the mammal himself, another analyst on our desk, which is not as a virtual desk, but it's Mr. Ulf from PH.
What's up, everyone? I'm scared to be here. If I'm telling the truth, if I'm being honest, I'm scared to be here.
Scared is for... Oh, wait, I can't say that.
That's what I'm scared of.
No, Wolf, it's okay. Wolf. Listen to me. You're between me and Mirko and Trex, but you're between us. You'll be fine.
I know.
We've always treated you nicely. Always.
Yeah. That's what I'm scared of. You may treat me too nicely.
Mirko, speaking of being nice, you know what's nice?
What is nice?
If you win every single thing. But for AP Brand, they have not won the MSC Championship yet. So, I don't know. Even though the MPL hasn't finished, is there a good chance that they can go to MSC and actually win it all?
I think there's a good chance of AP Bren actually making it there. I mean, they've been on a win streak, or as you said, on a lose streak, but unfortunately that lose streak did break earlier, or actually the win streak did break earlier. But yeah, I think at this point, every team who's found success, they're looking to complete the golden road. I think Echo was on the same road after winning M4. Onyx was on the same road after winning MSC, but then falling short at the M Series, and now it's back to Bren.
I mean, I don't know. I think I gotta ask Wolf this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys stop winning? I mean, I'm being real here. Do you think if AP Bren wins this, they will finally be the greatest team of all time?
So far, yeah, I think there's enough basis for that. There's definitely enough basis for that, especially because the way that they got M5, and then the way
M2.
that the journey itself, like it's a very long journey for them. They have proven themselves worthy of the title, and especially because of the length, I guess, of their era, it's also considerable. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, if they do take MSC, but they still have to take MSC first.
Mm. I mean, for me, Laphel, I feel like AP Bren, without MSC, they're already the greatest team of all time. I mean, currently they are the only team to have 2 world championships. But what do you think, Trex?
That's kind of where my mind's at. Is I think in all technicality and stats and numbers, they are already the greatest org of all time. You know, there are some different players from last time they won. You know, from last time they won M series, but from M5 to now, 2 M series in a row for AP Bren. I mean, not in a row, but 2 M series. They just won Games of Future, the biggest prize pool ever so far. I mean, just in stats alone, I think nobody's really touching them until someone else wins the second M series.
I feel like the question now is, for us to say AP Bren is the greatest team of all time, we need people that are qualified enough to actually give them the title. Do you guys feel like the 4 of us here is good enough to crown any title to any team? Like, we can say who's the greatest and who's the worst. Mirko, do you think like we have the caliber to say to the teams, hey, you're the greatest, you? Not yet.
I think so. You know, I think we've been casters for quite a long time as well. I mean, we've technically called their championship victories every single time, so we know our facts, we know our stats. We should be able to say AP Bren is the best team of all time. We should also be able to say AP Bren is the worst team of all time. We dictate the narrative here. You know,
our voices matter.
Yes,
the only voices that matter. Isn't that right, Wolf?
Can I just say that the fact that you're here, Laphel, that's already more than enough. You were crowned the world's best talent before Bren actually won.
Mm-hmm. Who made that decision? Legit, I feel like I've done so many things that should have gotten me fired. I think that's the one that got me the victory. Yeah. What about you, Wolf? Do you think AP Bren can make it to the MSC?
Yeah, absolutely. And this loss against Onyx is something that we have to think in a way where maybe AP Bren wakes up like a beast when that happens, because now I think even Ducky himself is very vocal about this. They wanted to lose, actually. They wanted to eventually lose against a team because that means that now they can, wake up again. Also, they kind of have some I guess a metric or barometer on how well they are actually as a team, so that they can know what needs to be improved upon. So um to answer your question, yes, I think AP Bren is more than a contender of getting into MSC.
I have a point to jump off of yours, but I want to hear what Trex thinks first. Like,
I think that AP Bren, I think they're definitely the favorite. Like they are definitely favorited to go to MSC, but knowing MPLPH, knowing how kind of savage playoffs can be, it is definitely it's very likely as well that they could get knocked out. Many of times have we seen the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed not make it to the international through MPLPH playoffs. It is probably one of the most competitive playoffs, essentially one of the hardest to guess. Even when I see Leo predictions, when I see Wolf predictions, anyone that tries to predict MPL playoffs for PH is normally very wrong. It is tough. Even if they didn't make it to MSC, though, they could miss this MSC. They could miss next Worlds, and the org would still be the greatest org. Until someone matches their title of 2 world championships, and just stats numbers, and just we represent, this is our org, this is what we've achieved. Career-wise, they're the best, Maybe if they lost, maybe currently you could argue they're not the best team this moment, but over an org's time, they're the best.
Let me just say, if I was a team owner, this is one MSC I don't want to miss, because Habibi, that amount of moolah, it's like I wouldn't want to miss that.
But hey, speaking of also greatest teams of all time. AP Bren have 2 M series, and obviously that makes them still top tier. Now, Onic have a chance to not just dominate MPL ID for 3 seasons in a row or 4 seasons in a row, but also to take 3 total MSC trophies home. So if they are able to win another one, it'll make their MSC trophy achievement up to 3. It'll add it up to 3. What do you guys think about this? Do you think with that victory, or first, you know what? Let's talk about their performance first. Let's talk about their performance in MPL ID. What do you guys think? You want to start first, Laphel?
Yeah, honestly, looking at how Onic plays, like it's very interesting from my perspective, being able to watch MLPH and then immediately go to MPL ID, because we as casters don't get to watch the game when it was live, so we always have to watch it after.
No.
The pacing is always such an amazing thing to watch, because the pacing in MPLPH as well as ID is so different. And then looking at how Onic kind of taking the step of Ducky is like, okay, we lost, and how do we learn from it? And I like that they take the approach that they are adjusting the draft a little bit to make sure that all of these utility junglers are not in the way, so that they can actually perform a little bit better. And I like that the fact that always figuring out how to be the top team is about disrupting the tempo. And I kind of feel like Onic, they're trying to establish a tempo that's very hard to fight again. So I think they're very strong, but at the same time, it almost looks like they're also still trying to figure themselves out. So it's kind of like, as someone that's been watching the game for a very long time, I feel like they're strong, but they're missing a hidden piece in their strategy for this season.
A big question is it the meltdown of Onic right now? Has it come to a point where Onic are burnt out, are just tired? Maybe that their players aren't hungry anymore. What do you think? I think we'll go with Wolf first.
Oh, it's not a total meltdown, or yeah, it's not a total meltdown for Onic, but I do see some signs, because when you're winning so much, teams look at you, and one part of it is the meltdown that I've just talked about Onic, because the signs tell us, like, they're using Albert, in different roles. They're kind of changing up the roles. Even Boots is being put in the sidelines.
Even coaches.
Exactly. They're also implementing a different approach. So the way that you look at Onic and the tempo that they're playing, their macro is a little bit different from before, which is it really felt like they're not comfortable in their own skin. And maybe it's because they're burnt down from constantly just participating in international tournaments, right? So that's one big factor. But also, man, I gotta say, BTR and the other teams have stepped up so much. I think we are looking at it in it's normal to look at it in the lens that that Onic is strong. But dude, the other teams have stepped up so much, dude. Like, you're looking at BTR. Eman is just carrying. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Eman, the Filipino, is playing so well in that team. But no kidding.
I think
everybody just step up. Yeah, Trex, sorry.
And you stole the words out of my mouth. I think it's more of I don't think Onic has like taken a step down. I think they are dealing with growing pains, but I think it's also just adapting to the fact that ID as a total right now, just several teams have feeling like they have stepped up. I think Onic has never. They've always just completely. I mean, for what, 3 seasons now, 3 or 4 seasons, they've just dominated ID essentially, going whole seasons, barely taking any losses, clearing brackets, 4-0 grand finals, and they finally are having a season where like they're being tested, and that could be the problem. We're finally have a season where it's like, oh man, we're taking losses. Like, oh man, these teams have gotten better. Oh man, like, how do we draft? How do we do this? And everything's just kind of like thrown up in the air. The analysts are throwing notes out the windows because it's just it's a different ball game now, right? It feels like a completely different MPL this season, comparative to things we've watched in the past. And I think that's a major growing pain going through that. And we've seen it. Even though it's not really comparable because it's a completely different type of league, but like we've seen it in NACT with certain top teams. I'm sure you'll see it in later. Like regions like Turkey, where you have these one dominating teams, or in a lot of regions, when the other teams start to get stronger, things start to get shaken up a bit, right? Like things start to, the top teams, the big shark in the small goldfish bowl starts to have some issues, and it's like, wait, how do I even do this again? So I think Onyx still definitely a competitor, still a team that high chance to go to MSC, but they're going to have to figure out, they have to kind of reapproach how they're going to deal with some of these teams.
Can we talk about something like very serious, like maybe uncomfortably serious? Mirko, is your relationship with Kiboy good?
Yeah, we're on talking terms, if that's good enough.
Yeah, because here's the thing. This is a serious topic because sometimes behind the scenes I get to talk to the players and people just think that, esports, Mobile Legends games, you're just playing with the phone. There's no harm coming to you or anything like that. And I'm not saying it does give harm. I'm saying that these pro players put in so much time that I've seen videos that Kiboy's hand is shaking and everything like that. Like he's moving his head like very frantically, that kind of motion. Even talking to Zorn, he's been playing MPLMY from season 1 to season 13. He's the most veteran of all the veterans in MPLMY. And he has said he has struggled with certain issues with his hands, his eyes. Sometimes he experiences brain fog and everything like that. So I do have to ask Will, because as a caster, you've been in this game for a very long time, and I'm pretty sure you have interacted with a lot of athletes as well. Like, do you think, like, let's just push the burnout thing a little bit further. Like, is this affecting them physically to the point where maybe what Boots is having is actually good for him, letting someone play in his spot for a while he, relaxes a bit, and maybe some of the players deserve that kind of treatment a bit?
I think we're talking about like load management now, right?
Yeah.
I want to say yes. I want to say that they're very much affected physically because of what they're playing. But then you look at Few, and he's been playing for 13 seasons as well. And how come he managed to do that? And now I've had a chance to talk to Coach Eb about, like, specifically about what's happening with Kiboy. Apparently, he's been experiencing that for a long time, even before we get to notice it. It's like a mannerism or something like that. It still is concerning. I'm not saying that it's not concerning, but they do have to have it checked. And it's true. Like, I think R7 also experienced that kind of thing because he
And
also
wrecked.
played in a different PC game before, so that also carries over. So that's also very important. And if we're looking at other esports titles, injuries do happen for players. Now with MLBB, we will never notice this, but we actually play so much more than the average esports title,
That's
and
true.
we're carrying a very heavy object. Phones are actually heavy, and phones that are starting to get bigger tend to be, more hotter, I guess, because you're gonna be playing it for a long time. They get heavier because they also get a little bit bigger, so that's definitely a concern, right? So I'm not gonna confirm what is happening with Kiboy, but at the same time, I will not refute the fact that it is gonna be it does affect the health, or the physical health of the players.
I mean, I've seen some of the videos with Kiboy. I always thought it was more of like a social tick or something like that. I thought it was more, which again, there's like, I thought that was normal. I don't know if it was like a physical, like carpal tunnel or anything like that. But still, I mean, it just goes to, I think, mental health, physical health, all of these things are important, and I think it comes down to the orgs to be able to, be able to balance workload. It's the same reason why in actual sports, players get pulled off for a quarter. You put in your bench to let a player rest so that you have a player for your fourth quarter, your second half of the game, so they can get those final points in. It's all about managing that type of thing. And Wolf mentioned something about some people have been around. Few's been around since season 1. You said. He also hasn't always been a world stage arrival. And one thing that you have to point out with Onyx is for 2 years now, they have been on almost every international nonstop travel. I do think there is some, you do have to start thinking about workload there. 2 years straight. I think every international event that has happened, Onyx has been there since M3, right?
M3.
Since M3, literally every international. I don't think they've missed an MSC. Don't think they've missed a Worlds. Don't think they've missed a MPLI or anything. Maybe not. Maybe one of the ISFs, because you guys do ISF a little differently. You guys do like the. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely pretty insane to think about. And I think it's been the same 5 players too. I think this is like the first season you guys have introduced like Loopy as a like really bringing in like having your bench players actually play a lot, which is pretty. It's a lot. But that is part of like that's kind of a skill. Like it comes down to an org to be able to do that. It's not just about the skill of the players. It's about how the coach is. That's why when I talk about these orgs, it's not like, oh, this is the best team. No, it's the best org. It's one of the reasons why I appreciate like certain orgs like Blacklists and things like that, because they do so well with no matter what they have.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the imports coming into MPL Malaysia, where Malaysia is where you can really achieve the American dream, where you can come here. If you're not doing so well in wherever you are, there's a dream to be held here in Malaysia. Dreams do come true. Just maybe not where you live. Come over to Malaysia. What do you think, Mirko?
Great ad for Malaysia. I mean, that's a great ad, man.
Right?
It's like one of those commercials, Malaysia truly Asia, but this time with Laphel. I love that, man. It definitely has brought me to Malaysia as well a couple of times.
I do like the entertainment value, but I do have to say Malaysia is like scrappier than MPLID to the point where it's not good for us. It's like, is it a good idea? No. Will I do it? Yes. Because here's the thing. I see a trend, because I've been here for a long time. A lot of the teams in Malaysia bringing in imports, Indonesia as well as Philippines. Now we're trying to incorporate a little bit of the culture coming in from the Indonesia as well as the Philippines, where I see a lot of the teams are trying to go for the same tempo as the Philippine teams, meaning playing a little bit more objectively, not taking unnecessary fights and everything like that. But I do see that they're not comfortable with it. So I want to ask your perspective is like, even though Philippines has been winning so much and has been doing the right things macro-wise, what if to the point where the people that are trying to incorporate that aren't really comfortable doing it?
Yeah, that's a very fair point, and I do agree with that. Like sometimes, the winning formula for one region will not work for another region just because of difference in cultures and difference in the approach in general, right? So that is definitely gonna happen so many times. And in fact, I was able to talk to some of the coaches and to you, Laphel, as well, because there was a brief moment before MPL started around January and December of last year where people were just asking for my help, my recommendations on who to, oh, can I recommend as a coach or can I recommend as a player? And that's not only happening to me, that's also happening to my friends, to my coaching friends. So we were all scared, like, okay, we might have burned out all of the talents that we have in the Philippines that's like exportable. That sometimes the people that we send out might not be the best anymore. Like, and I'm not, it's a difficult topic for sure. But the fact that some, players and teams, players and coaches that you have not heard of before, all of a sudden now appears in MPL Malaysia, in MPL MENA. Obviously, I'm very happy about that's happening. But at the same time, we kind of feel the pressure that maybe they might not work in that region. So it's a combination of the actual pedigree of the players that are being exported or imported, and also the fact that there's a difference in culture. That's why I feel like before you trust a player to make a positive impact in a team, I think a coach should be the first ones to be considered, because they're the equalizer. They're like the middle ground between two cultures because they can now match what A is thinking so that B can understand and meet halfway.
Yeah.
I think if you're able to do it, I think I think it can be worth it. But I think there are some situations where we're seeing players maybe overhypes happening or this and that. And that's not even just Malaysia. I think we've seen some players go to Indo as well. I won't drop any names, but that I think a lot of us expected very high things from, and it's kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? And I think there's some give and take. We always want to see regions, train their own and become strong with their own, but also an org in itself has to, the org has to think about the org, Like I think we sometimes get very caught up in the Indonesian pride, Malaysian pride, North America pride, Philippines pride, when the reality is like the org just wants to win. That's like the org. It's more of like Team Hawk pride, RSG pride. That's where the management is coming from. It's like, yes, our country is important, but the reality is we want to win, and if they think the best way to win is to bring in an import, then yeah, go for it. But I think there could possibly be some more vetting. There could possibly be some different situations. But that's any player, man. We see rookies get picked up even from your own country or from anyone's own country, and sometimes they don't do well. That's just part of the game, right? Do I think that teams should be switching rosters as much as sometimes they are? I do think there's some good things that come with being willing to sit, especially like Wolf said, if you can find a good coach. You find a good coach, you can even turn some, players that are maybe more on the mid side to stars if you're willing to, if they kind of have that drive in them, right?
Now I have a question for Wolf, because honestly, Trex bring up a very good point about how some people are overreacting, thinking like, oh, we should just bring in new players, but sometimes it's not enough. I do have to say, because you have talked with a lot of different people, especially on your own personal podcast, about I would say investing in the players, because investing is not just money, it's time as well.
Yeah.
And we've seen overreactions from many different orgs from many different regions. The moment it doesn't work out, you overreact and you immediately like kick someone out, take someone new in, blah, 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 all that kind of process. I just want to get into the mindset of what you've been seeing after talking with a lot of different people. What's the general mindset of how long are you going to invest in this particular lineup? Let's say even one season might be too short, maybe two seasons, maybe 3 seasons. What are people should be expecting of how long the investment should be?
Yeah, I think having one whole year is a good metric for it, a good barometer, because it means that if you play badly in one season, maybe you have another shot at the next season, and then you'll start to notice the habits, nuances, and the overall effect of that player or that coach to a team. I would say though that there are some signs where when you just need one season to kind of already know that it's not working, right? That will happen eventually. But I think having at least a year, which is also great for like contracts wise, because
Yeah.
at least that's there's a lot of sample size for you, and also like having a year contract is always like less complicated as to like a 2-year contract or a half a year contract or a seasonal contract or something. So it's always helpful that way.
Now I gotta move on here because I was about to ask Strikes, but he's not here anymore. Okay, now he's back. Now he's back. I want to talk about MSC.
My cord got tangled.
I want to talk about MSC, and I want to talk about recent events when it comes to international events. It's no longer just about Southeast Asia, man. Like all the other countries, NA especially, has been stepping up. So it's a very simple question. How do you think the other countries will fare in MSC?
For me, this is my question. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I think all right. So I think last year we saw the rise of just MLBB globally.
Oh yeah.
We saw the downfall of NA.
No, don't put it that way.
My bad. We're just on equal terms with Malaysia now.
You know what? We accidentally get
over here. Let me continue my point. But we saw teams like we saw regions like Turkey really show up, which that's been a region that, or at least Fireflux. I really have not been able to tune in to their regional championships as much as I would like to. It's hard enough just catching like PH and Indo and Malaysia and other stuff, but they stepped up tremendously, and it's been the same team all the way back when they were Incendio Supremacy and M3, then become Fireflux before M4, Fireflux M5, have just become monsters. We've seen a lot from EECA. I think this MSC too, we're now seeing orgs getting involved, True Spirit picking up Deus Vaults and stuff. GG picking up one of our teams. I think for the first time, there are definitely going to be some competitors. I do think that regions like Indo and PH, Malaysia, like Southeast Asia regions, they do realize that. Like, I no longer think there's any dark horses per se, really, because at this point, these other regions that are not Southeast Asia have some respect, and I think teams from Philippines, teams from Southeast Asia, they're going to do their research. They're not going to let a team like Deus Vault or True Spirit catch them off guard. They're not going to let a team like Fireflux catch them off guard. So I think this is going to be one of the first years too where it's like, outside Western regions need to really bring their A game, because this time there's eyes on us. This time there's even last year I think there was eyes on us, but this time there's even more. So it's like these guys maybe are possibly threats now. We have to be prepared with drafts. We have to know what their pocket picks are, things like that. But I don't know, man. I'm more on the Fireflux train right now than like the True Spirit train. I would love to see Turkey do amazing this year. They've just kind of hyped up over the past few years. I think Rosa's just been a monster. We've seen all of them have just been kind of monsters. So I'm hoping for big things from them, maybe like top 3 finish, something like that. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, I've also kind of like shared that sentiment. I've always wanted a new region to come in and sweep the Philippines, sweep Indonesia, take the Philippines and Indonesia out of the grand finals for once, right? We were able to finally see a non-PHPH grand finals at M5, so there has been a bit of improvements from the other regions, but I can't help but feel like right now, it's kind of in international tournaments, especially for the past year, it's been Indo and Philippines. That's it, right? For the most part, it's been Philippines versus Indo, Indo versus Philippines, MSC, M Series, so on and so forth. Fireflux have been doing really well. Deus Vault were really good. And then now they're obviously Team Spirit. And then we've also had the NA teams now taken by GG, etc. But even with all of that, in the international tournaments, most people still look at Philippines and Indonesia. That's it. So how do they kind of like improve so that they can get into that level? How do they get to the Philippines Indo level? Mainly, how do you get to the Philippines level, right? Because that's the standard right now that you have to beat to become international champions. We've waited and waited and waited. It's been how long has it been? And it's like for the last 4 world championships, it's still the Philippines. So for all these other regions, especially the teams or the regions that, again, are not dark horses anymore because we know of them, but have actually turned out to be downgraded from dark horses, I would say, right? A lot of regions like NA, who were the dark horse at M3, even Myanmar, who were the dark horse at M2. Now they're B-tier teams. In the power rankings, if we were to make one for the international tournaments, we would put them in B-tier because of their consistently mediocre performances in the international tournaments. So what needs to change here? I think, Laphel had the biggest reaction. So, Laphel, what do you think? What do you think, brother?
Yo, calm down. we're here trying to have fun, okay?
Bro, we gotta get in deep, man. We've had the fun. We gotta get the hard-hitting questions now, man.
Look, man. Malaysia, we're here just to have fun, okay? Like, we're just happy to be here.
We know.
Okay. Do you want to know why? That's a difficult question.
Why?
People have tried the answer. We've used answer A, answer B, answer C. We've been wrong. Like, for example, the courses of action that people have taken. Imports, taking someone from the Philippines, coaches, players, understanding their culture. Tried that. Was that enough? No. Okay, fine. Let's move on. The meta has changed. It's not the same as before, so everyone's at an even playing field. Okay, now we try to see what Philippines is doing and try to incorporate that. Did that work? Not really. Not really happening. Try to be super out of the box, right? Pick picks that is so outrageous that they can't see it coming. I believe even during the M5 wild card, can't remember which team. I think it was from Argentina where they brought in Yi Sun Shin.
Yeah,
that was it was very off meta, and it worked to a certain point. But was it good enough? No. So that's a very difficult question because people have been trying very different answers. So far, because the problem is, if Philippines stayed where they are, it's completely fine. the fact that we're evolving. Every other region is evolving, but they're still evolving. Like at this point, we have to make them stop first so that other people can catch up. Then it becomes an even playing field, because it's like they're in a Ferrari. Even if we're okay, no, if they're in a Bugatti and we're in a Ferrari, we're fast, but they just keep on making the gap bigger. So I honestly have no idea. I kind of feel like we got to go to Wolf for this one, because other regions, believe you me, we've tried so many things. Boot camping in the Philippines, we tried that. Boot camping in ID, we've tried that. Importing them, trying different styles, try to play like them, using their heroes, trying our heroes. We've tried a lot, man. It's not working.
Yeah, I guess
I'm frustrated.
We are frustrated.
Yeah.
Well, just be born in the Philippines. No, just kidding. No, I mean like okay, it went very close back in M5. I could have sworn that it just literally took one game for.
Oh yeah. That last game. Oh, that was
that last game
for the end of an era to be complete, for the golden road to be complete. So I would say that they definitely have caught up. At least if you're looking at Indonesia, right? At the same time, when we're talking about different regions, and this is definitely a long topic, but I'm just gonna brush over it. I think the reason why Asia has been dominant compared to the West is the amount of tournaments that we have. Actually, if you compare to other regions, and now if you're looking at NA, for example, it's a totally different scenario, because for them, they will have to. It is a massive region, like physically massive region, that even playing for NACT makes it difficult, because they have to settle with a specific ping, right? And then if we're looking at EU, that's also true. Like Kid Bomba, I believe he had to suffer, high MS just so he can play. And then eventually he's able to unleash his true power after playing for 3 digits ping to now like 2 digits or even 1 digit ping in the qualifier that they've had, and now he's looking good, right? So there's so many things for other regions to catch to do for them to catch up. But we're doing the right steps anyways. Like we're conducting more tournaments. That's why I like the idea of MSC so much, because now like it attracted the attention of gaming gladiators, right? And team spirit, right? So I think surely the real answer to that is for me is just making the ecosystem healthier. Like if there are more teams and more orgs, it means more chances of scrims, and more scrims equals more chances of you improving. And improvement obviously can bring you to a different level. So at this point it's difficult, I understand, but there's a step in the right direction. But yeah, I just hope that the ecosystem just gets better, and that's how you can catch up.
One of the big downfalls, I think, of a lot of regions is roster changes repetitively. You look at Fireflux, like it's a perfect example, right? Or you look at certain regions just in general, like all right, BTK M3, great lineup, did wonderful things. Immediately, some of the roster stays the same, but we lose like 2 members. It becomes the Valley, and they still do well, but drop down to about 5th place. The Valley dude. Great times. And then we have even more roster changes and things start to change up. Same thing from, you see it a lot, and we kind of touched on earlier, is it better just to hunker down, be okay with your 8th place finish, but try to get better as a 5-man unit, try to maybe introduce a coach, try to get better, and do better next year. And then be okay with maybe your 5th place finish the next year. And then the following year, aim for number 3, and then number 2, and then number 1. And I'm guessing, my guess is when Myanmar did so well, 2nd place, M2, right?
M2.
Yeah, M2.
Did some of those players get picked up next year? What happened to them the following year? Was there a big breakup? Did they return as the same exact 5-man roster?
It was
Myanmar
complicated.
Had issues.
I think that was
it was complicated. Yeah.
But by the time they did come back, still there was changes, right? And it's the same thing we see Indo finally doing so well. One of the reasons I would say is Onic held on to the same roster for a very long time. So I think if some regions would just be willing to, stop looking for the quick Band-Aid, man. Stop looking for the, for the Band-Aid on a lost arm.
Just bleed.
They need to be willing to just bleed out a little. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay to bleed a little bit, You
pain is
get
good.
stronger through pain. Pain is good, exactly.
Yeah.
Pressure builds diamonds. Now, to the female players things, shout out Nicolette. I've been hyping up Nicolette for several seasons, for several years now. She took off last season and is back this season. Finally gets on like a solid roster, because this is a player and I know we're getting maybe too far ahead. This is a player that used to play with best player, always had quote unquote B tier players, but consistently made it as a number 2 team, number 3 team. Never had players like Hoon, never had players was never a BTK member or anything like that. And finally, I feel like is on a roster, a BTK now, where she's with some dedicated, solid players, and it's really hyped to see, whether you address it that, it's cool that she's a girl, or it's cool that she's just, because I don't, when I talk about her, I don't think, it's not like she's the best girl in NA, which she probably is. She's one of the best players in NA, which it's not about the girl or boy thing. She's just one of the best mages in NA, man, and I will solidly say that, top 3 easy. So I think it's cool. I think it adds a new dimension. Have we ever seen a woman on
International stage?
Anyways, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
No, I
really,
do
really cool.
agree. I feel like looking at gender is overrated. Even I don't even look at Mirko like he's a guy.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't look at Laphel like he's a girl, and he's not a girl. So I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
It's a good thing that I'm not a girl. All right.
I mean, Laphel, here. You know what?
Okay.
There's something that's not good for
What's
me.
not good?
The meta, man. I'll be honest here, right?
Meta man, meta woman.
Why do you guys hate it so much?
We can all agree.
We can't all agree.
We can't all agree.
No, we can't all agree on this one. I'm
Mr.
sorry. I'm a fan.
Dinoman Trex is a fan of. Okay, so let's talk about it then. Since we have different opinions here, I think the tank meta needs to. I mean, it's cool and all. I'm not saying the tank meta should never exist. I think we've been through that for the last 2 years. We've been through that already.
Fair.
We're still in that right now, and it's getting worse. I think even an M5, right? I think M5 was actually pretty good. We were seeing a lot of different heroes. We saw assassins. We saw different tanks as well. Now, it's Fredrin, it's Baksha, it's Barats, and that's it. Those are the tanks we see. And everything else, they do okay, but they ain't the best. Those 3 are the best, and that's it. If you want to win games, you pick Barats, Baksha, and Fredrin. And should the assassins come back? What do you think should change? I think we'll phrase the question that way, right? Laphel, we'll start with you.
Actually, I want to adjust the question as well, because you want to know why we're frustrated. I know the science why.
Why?
Because it's been years. Patch changes has come every 2 weeks. A big patch comes every few months. And then we're here as talents, as casters, and then as analysts, coaches, players. Everyone's excited because this might be a big change. In theory, looking at the patch notes, this is big. This is going to be a different hero here or there. It's going to be a different rotation. The turtle's going to matter a little bit more. The lore is going to matter. A lot of things has been going on. And then give it 1 week. Give it 2 weeks. It's back to whatever it was before.
So for Trex, right now, you actually, why do you like the tank meta, firstly? Let's start with that.
All right, so first of all, I think it makes for longer games, which I enjoy. I enjoy a longer game. I think sometimes if you have 5 damage dealers on a team, game is bound to become a snowball fest. Game is bound to become we're talking 12, 15-minute max. My thing about the meta is, all right, yes, jungle has changed so much, right? It may have been, it's been the same for a while, yes, but gold lane has had huge changes. Mid lane has had huge changes. The way we're playing around some of these picks has changed a lot. EXP lane, we've had big changes over the past 2 years. Yes, we've had some of the biggest growth in EXP lane on how many heroes you're able to use. I mean, do you guys remember when it was just Esmeralda and Uranus? That was when assassins were popular, guys. We saw the same 2 picks in EXP lane forever. We didn't even have a gold lane then. we just had two fighters on each side, and that was when assassins were popular. Is that? I mean, yes, I think it was cool to be able to see jungle, and even then, it was just assassins pretty much. And yeah, we had some marksmen and we had some funnel swords. But my point is I think for the sacrifice of jungle, we've made many other lanes very interesting, which that is something. And I think, yes, there still needs to be some balance. I think the meta is in a weird spot right now. I think it's not as micro-orientated. It's very positional meta, even when you look at some of the mages, like Vexana. Like, a lot of these heroes are not micro-mechanical heroes. It's all about where you're at on the map. It's all about, it's not like you're not doing anything crazy with a Vexana, right? You're not doing it like you're moving the joystick and clicking a button. It's all about where you are when you're clicking that button. I think the meta right now is a very positional, how well your team can position on the map, how well your team can control map pressure. I think it favors PH a little bit. It's very macro orientated. And it's I think why PH is thriving very. Now we get down to the plot of the matter, but yeah, it's very macro orientated. And I think there could be some balance, but it's like, how do you even bring assassins back at this point? Because even if you would have to completely destroy tanks. The tanks would just have to be completely unviable. Because I think once we figured out that, wait, I can just bully an assassin in his own jungle. Like, once we figured that was a thing back in like M3 and stuff, like we figured out that was a possibility. It was like how do you? There's no like I hate to say it, but it feels like assassins are on a very like. I don't know if they're ever good. I think the best bet is to find a way to put them in gold lane, find a way to put them in mid, find a way to stick them somewhere else because...
So, Wolf, you're the analyst. You're the big boy analyst here. So what do you think about this? Do you agree that the assassins just need to come back in a different way, or is it, or do you want it in the jungle?
I'm very comfortable on the state of assassins, actually, in a way that I think that the reason why the utility junglers still are prevalent now is because of the flask of the Oasis. Like, honestly, like,
True.
dude, that item is just
so the
so
elite
big.
flask. I agree.
Flask.
No, I mean, like, could you imagine being an assassin, right? Apart from Nolan and Joy, maybe in the late game, there's no one shot hero anymore just because of the flask of the Oasis, right? Because when you dive, you just get healed or whatever. So, do I think that it should be changed? Do I think that it should be removed? Uh, Maybe it's just me liking the macro of things. That's why I feel like utility junglers are great, because it forces you to play in a macro level. One thing that as part of coaches think of it this way: assassins are very difficult to pull off in Lord dances. So maybe if we change maybe if the Lord dance is changed a little bit, that is more viable for assassins. Maybe that could people will now start to think like, okay, maybe we can play Hanzo. Actually, we can play Lancelot again. We can play Hayabusa if the Lord dance is a little bit different. They did change it, but I think that the recent change with the Lord attributes and the Lord
The
what's that
pit,
what's the
the
term? It's like a
range.
tether area, that range,
Uh-huh.
and also the damage of the Lord. It kind of dissuades assassins, actually.
True.
Maybe okay, if you ask me, do I like assassins to be back? 100%. Do I
Yeah.
think utility junglers are boring? Absolutely not, because it's the way that I like it. But some people will not like it. Do I feel that the Lord dance should be changed? It's definitely 100%. I think I kind of miss the old Lord dance, honestly, where you play the map and you pull it,
Yep.
and assassins are a little bit more viable because somebody can actually stay in front of the Lord. Like, have you ever held the Lord at 18 minutes? That it hurts,
It does.
So
It does.
that it's not viable for assassin comps at the same time. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's
Mm-hmm.
my 2 cents about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true, right? I mean, maybe we might have to see something extreme. Maybe they have to change the map. Maybe they have to change. Well, they have
Oh,
to
that'd
change
be
something
interesting.
later on, right? Like, I mean, map changes, jungle changes, lane
Oh yeah.
changes, whatever it is. We're hyped for it, definitely, right? Especially this year, or maybe even next year. Depends on when they really want to release it. Hopefully, not during tournament time because they're very club. But but we've seen that before. But I think we've had enough of the main course. Have
Yeah.
we talked a bit too much? No, we've talked enough of the main course. I think it's time for us to just get a little bit of snacks here and there. Quick fire questions with quick answers as well, because we have a lot of kind of subtopics here that we want to talk about as well. Laphel, what's your favorite uh, team from MENA, bro?
I gotta talk about Triple Esports, man, because they're the face of MENA on M5, and not and they're not joining MPL.
That's the
I
thing.
It's a weird thing, but coming from Malaysia, we've seen that before, even in Malaysia. So I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah, well, maybe Trex knows a little bit of the feeling too. And ACT, a lot of teams going back and forth. What do you think of Triple Esports not making it to, or not joining MPL MENA
Hmm.
Season 5?
I mean, one thing we do have to remember that Triple Esports, like even Triple Esports had some players that were familiar from like Team Occupy back in M3 and stuff. It feels like they're kind of going through maybe some of the same similar growing pains that we saw kind of happen in NA of, players not knowing exactly where they want to be at. You never really know what's going on behind the scenes unless you are a hardcore fan following all of their content, and really following all of this. I'm looking at some of the teams, you have Falcons, you still have players like Hulk, you still have like players like Smile, you have Twisted Minds we have Morrow, Cuffin, Sanji. So like you still have a lot of these players. I think they have just kind of maybe fallen back to a certain place. I'm pretty sure last time we saw some issues with MENA too. I remember before M5 was it, or before MPLI, there was like something going on over there. I don't want to like quote anything because I don't remember exactly. I just remember there was something going on to where like some teams had to combine or something. Certain teams weren't able to make it, maybe due to visa issues. So, and these are all issues that we see all the time with, aspiring regions, newer regions. We've seen it with NA. We've seen it with, I think, Myanmar. We've seen roster. We've seen visa issues. We've heard of this all around the world. Non-league regions that don't have heavy org sponsoring to handle all that behind the scenes paperwork, right? To handle visas, to handle problems like that. So I think we're still going to see a lot of these players. It's just not going to be Triple Esports, which I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I was an Occupy fan anyways, so I want Team Occupy to come back.
All right, so now we got to talk about the downfall of champions of MPLKH.
Yeah.
See you soon. They were, the faces of M5 for Cambodia, but now they're at the bottom of the leaderboards. And I'm just gonna say, man, being a champion is a nerf. Happens to Malaysia all the time. But what do you think, Wolf?
Yeah, I think we're see you soon. I'm very surprised that this is the
Oh
result,
yeah.
especially because uh they have Hesa from yeah, they do have my boys Hesa as well as MP the King, and I believe that if you're looking at the pedigree, or at least the the power level of the players in this particular team, you should be very comfortable knowing that they can actually win series, even win an actual championship. I don't know what's happening. Maybe well, Hesa and the Filipinos in this region actually are quite famous now in that particular
Mm-hmm.
region, which I'm very happy that they deserve the recognition. But at the same time, maybe there's so much extracurricular things that's happening with them. That's probably why they're finding it really difficult. Also, you gotta have to commend the other teams, man. If you're watching CFU as well as this
Yep.
uh the team where Cadenza is in, like the Roar, I believe is what they're called. The Cadenza's just popping off. CFU and D Roar, you have to give credit where credit is due. They're playing differently now, and so I think Cambodia in general as a region, it's improving so much.
The pressure for Evos and RRQ especially. These these two teams are, I would say, the teams with the biggest fan base in Indonesia. With that comes a lot of support, but it also comes with a lot of pressure. It comes with a lot of crazy criticism, a lot of hate, and a lot of social media posts. Uh, that definitely impacts the players. Like, it doesn't matter how strong the player is mentally. When you have a bad performance, or when you're thinking about how the crowd, the fans will perceive your performance, that's already a negative. That's already a bad side to your performance, right? And that's the main problem for Evos, I think. Swapping rosters because of the fans, because of the pressure. The players also getting affected by that pressure, and the synergy is not clicking in their mentality. But for RQ, I think it might be a completely different reason, because I honestly feel like with Ren coming into the lineup, with Irad coming into the lineup, they would be really, really good. I don't know what it is. It feels like there is a disconnect between the coaches and the players, from my eyes, from my perspective. Not in a way where Vren can't coach, or Zaya can't coach, or the players can't play, but in a way of the communication. Vren's Indo is still quite bad. And the players is English for the most part, except the imports, obviously. They're also pretty bad. Doesn't help that they all kind of. That's the most mixed team in Indo. We have a Burmese coach, we have a Filipino analyst, Indonesian players, and Filipino players. So there has to be some sort of language barrier going on there. When Ren tries to tell them, give them instructions on what to do with these particular drafts, how do you get that completely? Even with a translator, it's going to be hard, right? Because when I'm saying something to Laphel and he doesn't understand English, someone translates English to BM, he might get a different translation as to what I'm saying. He
I
might
might get
perceive
offended.
things differently. He might get offended, and I won't
I
even
might get
know what I
offended.
said that offended him. So that's a problem with RQ that I see. There's a language barrier that kind of caps them from being the top tier team that we would expect them to be.
Now we gotta ask Wolf. Blacklist International needs VY's back. Thoughts?
Ah, man. I don't
Oof.
like the idea of the fans here where when everything goes badly for Blacklist International, their immediate answer is to bring VYs back. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I would love that to happen. I'm a VYs fan myself. I would love to see them, but this is not the way that you solve it. Maybe bring back Renegade so that he brings back the because of how good their run was during M5. I thought
Mm.
that that M5 run can be preceded with another good MPL season 13 run, and then eventually they can take it all the way to MSC, because I felt like they have not maximized the potential of what that lineup could have been, right? So Blacklist International needs to do something. It's not bringing VYs back might not be the solution here for sure. And for those who don't know, Blacklist International is actually the second lowest, if I'm not mistaken, or third lowest in MPLP season 13, right? So that is, they should be hitting the panic button now, but the break glass in case of emergency acts should not be VYs. I feel should be different.
Hmm.
Might be even be RNJ, might be um, another player, but something has to happen. Yeah.
All right. Well, something has happened in Malaysia, right? And this is going to be targeted towards Laphel. Laphel, Udil has made MPL Malaysia a whole lot spicier. I mean, I am very entertained with the interviews. But unfortunately, with big changes, it comes with big changes in Homeboys' performance as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they're currently sitting sixth in the standings. What are your thoughts on this?
It's an overreaction. I feel like six is just in the standings, but not in performance. Like legit, because
Mm.
it's only been 2 weeks in MPL Malaysia, and it's only just because it's a pretty rough start. And the rough start happens when they're going up against Selangor Red Giants, which I believe out of all the MPLMY teams, Selangor Red Giants is the one that can compete international for now. Because I feel like all the other teams, they're they're trying to adapt to a certain playstyle that they're not clicking just yet. For Homeboys, I would say their performance is okay, but I feel like it takes a little bit more time for Udil and Zorn to have that chemistry. It's not as plug and play like Warlord and Zorn. So I feel like it's more about. I don't think placement is six. Like I feel like they're at least top four. For now, it's just about being a little bit more comfortable. Even Nets has been doing well individually. As a team, not yet. So I feel like them being number 6 is an overreaction. I feel like they're still a very strong team, and I feel like Udil making things spicy is going to put a lot of attention to Homeboys. A lot of teams want to beat them, but I feel like it's a good pressure for Homeboys to have, because with enemies comes a good reason why you want to get stronger in the first place. All right, and with that being said, honestly, we've been talking for quite some time. So I just want to say thank you to myself for all the time that I've spent with you
Thank
guys. I've been pretty
You're
good
welcome.
here, moving around the conversations and everything like that. Mirko, is there anyone that you want to thank?
I wanna thank Mr. Wolf for having us here. Obviously, Laphel, as much as you want to thank yourself, without Wolf, we wouldn't be here. And I want to thank
Oh, yeah.
our other guest, Mr. Wagner, or Mr. Trex Dynoman, that's his last name,
Heineman.
for being here as well, for having this conversation with us. And again, it's been really, really fun. It's been really, really great. Any final statements? Maybe we'll go with Trex first here.
MSC, baby, we'll see y'all there. I mean, it's gonna be one of the. I think this is gonna be one of the craziest tournaments we've seen in a very long time. I'm super excited for it. Thank you, Laphel, for having me. It's all because of Laphel that I'm here. I really appreciate it. He's done such great things for me.
It's all good.
And yeah, Malaysia, baby.
It's all good. Malaysia and America were the same, man.
We'll see you. We'll see you at MSC, Malaysia.
Yeah, well, to my grand final buddy, IDPH. We'll let these two guys sit later. But Mr. Ulf, any final statements?
I would like to thank Mobile Legends and Munton for putting me alongside my idols, my inspirations. Laphel, you're amazing. Mirko, you're amazingly rich. Trex, you're amazing. Thank you so much for this one.
All right.
That's it.
And for me, investment is not just about money. You can invest in time, but more importantly, invest in yourself. Love yourself. Believe in yourself. If you do, you can achieve great things. You might not, but you can. You may still not, but you can. Opportunities are there. Try your best.
There's a chance for
There's
everyone.
Drink.
There's 100% chance for every single one of you guys to catch every single MPL, every single league, whether it be NACT or everything here on the MLBB channel or in their own channels. Don't forget to check all of it and keep up with the competitive scene, because like Mr. Trex said, we're on for MSC, baby.
Bye-bye.